Hello and welcome to another episode of Playmaker TV with me, Mia, and Jesper. And today you will be very happy to know that Jesper will speak a lot of French. I'm excited. I'm excited about that. So this is gonna be great. Jesper, how are you doing? Is it raining in Gothenburg? I will ask you this question every time.
Yeah, I'm sad to say that I don't know if it's raining exactly now, but the latest week has been so depressing, like typical fall weather. Like the sun hasn't been seen in Gothenburg for a week, and if it's not raining, it's just cloudy and gray outside.
Yeah.
So
I know the feeling about that, actually. I'm not gonna lie, because it's raining a lot in Linköping as well. This is the this is the beautiful part of Sweden this time of the year. But I know you have it is much going on at Playmaker at the moment. Tell us.
yes, exactly. So we are expanding at the moment, which is very exciting. I will get new colleagues shortly, and maybe if you're watching this, you could be my future colleague. So for the moment, we are employing both a salesperson and also a front-end developer. So if you have experience in those areas and think it's fun working with a football application, I recommend you to apply. I will comment the application, the ads below this episode. And it doesn't matter if you're not Swedish, you could still apply for the role. So yeah, I'm looking forward for you guys to apply for the roles we are offering. We are also, I can add as well that we just posted free master thesis as well. So if you are studying a master in economics or in engineering, computer science, or physics, you could apply for a master thesis. So we have three different theses. One of them is for team analysis together with the Swedish FA. So we're working to get a better understanding on teams' playing style and how that affect them during different times of the game, and how they react in different game states and so on. And then we also have tracking data thesis as well to improve our tracking data. And also an economic thesis that is regarding the market, how we can expand, and what kind of prices we can take for our how we are working and so on. So yeah, if you find them interesting, I will post them as well below this episode. Please apply.
I felt that at first we did not talk good PR about the Swedish weather and Sweden at the moment, but then when you told about what these jobs are about, I felt we sort of like balanced that out. So bad weather this time of the year, but working with those things, I mean, come on.
Yeah, definitely.
Who cares about some rain?
Yeah, exactly. That's what keeps you alive during the winter. At least me, like it's as long as I can do programming, it's I always find the pleasure. So yeah, watching football and programs. And these areas, like I worked in a different field before, but when you're working with football, it's so much easier to motivate yourself. It's like working with your passion. It's almost hard to take time off, or knowing when you have time off. And if I'm watching the Women's Champions League, like Rosengård Barcelona coming up, like it's easy for me to just have my computer next to me and just work on some new visuals or something.
Yeah, I mean, nothing bad comes with no good.
Yeah.
I mean, so, but this episode we're actually going to talk about a lot of things and leagues across Europe, because you have been digging into some data about 4 leagues, I think, if I'm not mistaken at the moment. Are you gonna kick it off?
Yes, exactly. So we'll go over to another view. So we'll go to this view. I hope it will work well with my visuals. So yeah, I took down some of the European leagues, not the Scandinavian ones that are further into the season, but some of the big leagues in Europe that we have up-to-date data with. We have more leagues than this, but these were the 4 leagues that I chose. So it's England, the Women's Super League, Frauen Bundesliga, and
this is the French. This is the French.
Yeah, Feminine Division 1, or yeah, yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, something like that, and Serie A, Serie A Femme, or Serie A Women. Yeah, or have they changed name now?
No, I don't think they have. But we have to add before you get going here that we know from previous episodes that what Jesper is showing is a bit small on the screen, so we are going to share those visuals under the tweet at Twitter at Playmaker AI.
Yeah, exactly. We'll post
so you can
sliders
follow.
and so on. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So yeah, let's move on. Oh, I almost dropped my mouse there. So I picked out an 11, and it's of course it's very hard to pick up the 11 best players so far when they only played like 200 to 500 minutes so far, and it's 4 different leagues, and it could be very dependent on which teams they have met so far and so on, and it's very even between grades. But I picked out 11 players. I tried to make a good spread within these 4 leagues, and picked out I don't know if I want to call it best 11, but at least like very well performing players in Europe.
I'm sure everyone will agree with us now, Jesper.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Everyone that will come across this episode will agree with what we are saying right here and now.
Yeah, but these players at least have been very good so far. When you look into their data, they have performed very well, and they stand out towards other players in their leagues. So yeah, we have. Yeah.
What metrics have you like? What are the players chosen from? We have to tell the viewers that, I think.
Yeah, that's a good question. So generally when we pick up this 11, now we use the Playmaker rating or Playmaker rank to pick out these players, and the Playmaker ranks is based on machine learning action model that evaluates how the players perform their actions during the game. With the ball or around the ball, so to say, and if they are given a good action is generally an action that increases the odds of scoring a lot after you've done the action, or decreases the odds of conceding a goal. And then it can be different. Like some players have very high valued actions, but fewer, like typically a striker, like Shaw here. And some players, like central midfielders, they have very many actions, but maybe like a lower average value, but they have around like maybe 100 actions per game, whereas Shaw has 30. And that grade is something that we'll dig into in a later episode. To make a better understanding. But for example, in that metric, you have the expected threat values, both in defense and offense, that is very close to what is used in this model. Then you also have like how important a tackle is, for example, or how much use you have of interception or clearance, or if you're a striker, like how are you overperforming your XG? Are you generating a lot of chances, but are you also scoring on those chances? But yeah, if I go through the 11, maybe we have Emma Lind in the goal, who recently was selected for the Swedish team here. Was it the first time for the Caps against Spain and France here a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah. I mean, this is exciting, obviously, because you have 2 Swedes in, but she's the first one.
Yeah. And we will go further into her later. But then we also have the Gevitz, if I pronounce it, the Danish center back that played in Häcken very recently until this summer. She was actually in the 11 that we had at Playmaker AI for best players in Damallsvenskan before the break for the European Championship. And then she went to Montpellier, and she's here as well. So she's have had a very good season so far. To say the least.
I can tell you that I don't think that Häcken had her in their future plans. So it's kind of interesting to see this, and also what you're saying about her being in the best of the Damallsvenskan as well.
Yeah. Then we have on the left back we have Karchaoui in Paris Saint-Germain, and then the other center back is Maya Letizier, that we will also look very close into in a player report later in this episode. Then on the right back, we have Bergamaschi from Milan. She plays wing back, so maybe it's a bit of a fetch to have her in a 4-4-2 like this, but she's performed very well.
I'm sure she will be happy.
Yeah, if this reaches her, I'm sure she will.
Yeah.
I hope it reaches her. And then on the midfield, we have Carcioni, French girl playing for Inter. Her spider is amazing. You will see very soon. Then we have the Icelandic player Brynjar Stottir playing in West Ham.
She's kicking ass at the moment.
Yeah, she scored like 3 goals or something.
Yeah.
And she's playing like an anchor in the midfield, so it's impressive. And then Rod in Wolfsburg, that you might have seen in the Bayern Munich Wolfsburg game this weekend. And if we continue in Frauen Bundesliga, we have Dahlmann on the right wing, wearing the number 10 as well in Bayern Munich. Then we have Shaw as the center forward. She scored most goals in the Women's Super League so far. Is it 6 or 7?
I think it's 5.
It's only 5. Or 5,
yeah. Only 5. I mean, they haven't played that many games yet, so I think it's quite good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I didn't mean it like that.
No, I know. But she's the current top scorer. I know that one of the UK reporters, Rich Laverty, he said recently that she was going to be the top scorer this season and win the Golden Boot. So let's see.
Yeah, and she scored quite many goals last season as well. Like, did she score like 15 goals last season?
Yeah. I can't say I'm sure, but it sounds reasonable.
Yeah,
since it's her. So.
And then we have on the left wing, we have Kosovari Aslani, a Swedish star. She was very good in the Euros this summer. I think she was good in the latest caps as well. And she's very important for us. And she's had a great start in AC Milan so far. Yeah,
I must say I got a comment on Twitter about her when I tweeted that I was so happy that she was in the Swedish national team and played for us. And then when she had scored those goals in the league game against Juventus this last weekend, and then but the goals came from 2 big errors in Juventus backline. Then I was like, yeah, but the errors they come from something, and a good goal scorer they end up in positions where the ball ends up.
And I also think she forced those errors. Like, she was chasing the ball and she forced them, and then she still stood for very good finishes. Like, her first goal, her 1-0 goal still had like an XG on 0.3 or something. So like, it's a good thing putting that in the goal. From that distance.
We love Kosovari Aslani.
Yeah, we do. And I did the Spider 11 that we did for the NWSL last episode. So I put in all the spiders for the players, not the goalkeeper, but the other players here.
Yeah, and this is the one you're going to share in the Twitter feed, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And here we have, we can dig into these spiders. I mean, like Valentina Bergamaschi, for example, that is playing a wing back. She has like almost a complete, perfect spider, but she's doing very well in defense as well. So she's not only an offensive fullback; she can do both. It's very obvious here that she's very all round in her defensive play.
That's good for that position as well.
Yeah.
Do you think we can change how we show in this window now so that all of the spiders are showing?
Oh yeah, good. We do like this.
There we go. Great.
We can also do like this, so we disappear. They can just hear our voices.
Yeah, that's
well.
Great. I like that.
If you look at the center backs, then you have two different center backs, and we will look into Mia Letizia more soon. But she's more like Manchester United has been very dominant so far. Like they've been very good. They have a lot of ball. They're not defending as much, but she's like very good in the offense, like a very good offensive center back. She hasn't been needing to defend as much. But while you look at Luna Gevitz, she's more like her duels is what is the most impressive here. Like she's doing a very good defensive work for Montpellier. Sakina Karshawi, she a typical good creative offensive fullback, but it's a typical spider for someone playing fullback in a very dominant team. Lucy Bronze or someone else. Like she's her passing ability and creative ability is like top of the line. Then my favorite spider here, is Gutia Carcioni in Inter. I think she's doing her first season in Inter this year. Her spider is like perfect. There's not much to say. It's very rare that they look like that, but she's dominant in all areas, because these are like not position-based spiders. These are more general spiders. So if you're playing center mid and you're dominant on all areas, that's very impressive. And in like her turnover radio in finishing and generating chances, XG for a midfielder, and also her passing ability is like top of the line in these 4 leagues. So interesting player, to say the least.
Yeah, and Inter, they have started this season very good, I must say.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yeah, just for the fact that I think that the Italian league this season will be very exciting to watch. I mean, it's not every season after 7 games played that Juventus is 4th place in the table at the moment.
Exactly. And I mean, Inter beat Milan 4-0, I think. Not this weekend, but the week before that, or if it was 2 weeks before that.
Yeah, and then Milan beat Juventus this weekend. That league is wild at the moment.
Yeah. And then we have Dagny Brynjarsdottir, as we mentioned, a force in the air and good defensive skills. And her finishing has been very successful so far. And then Jill Roord and Linda Dahlman having very similar offense, like spiders, like typical offensive star looking spider. Like they're good in passing and in creativity and in finishing. Like they are a typical dual threat. And then as you come to Kosovare Asllani, it's a bit of the same, but more focused on she's a very good technical player. Her dribbles is her dribble stat is very good, and we will look more into that later. And then, as we mentioned, Khadija Shaw being this top performer in finishing, scoring 5 goals so far, and doing a very good job as number 9 for Manchester City.
Yeah, she will be very interesting to follow this season. The whole team of Manchester City will be interesting to follow for many different reasons, I think, as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I still wait for Filippa Angeldal to join in on at Gareth Taylor's midfield.
Yeah, me too. I think she's so good every time Sweden plays, and she's. Sweden are also a top performing national team, but she can't seem to get a starting position in City. So I'm just waiting for her to get that, or switch clubs soon, so we can see more of her in league.
Yeah, not even gonna hide it anymore. And I'm not even gonna apologize for being too biased, but I think she should play more.
Yeah, I agree. So I think we should look more into Emma Lind. She was not in this Spider 11. Was not enough room for her, but I thought we can look at this. I just made a plot here. This is not the entire picture of who is the best goalkeeper, but we can see here like how much XG they have saved, like how good of a chances they have actually saved, and how much they have conceded. And the black line here is if you've saved as much as you have conceded. And
yeah, explain. Now we have to be very careful here. Explain the graphs and the
yeah,
X
so
and the
on the y-axis
Y.
here, you have the saves that the goalkeepers have done, how much XG has been saved, like how big of a opportunity was it? Like what was the odds of conceding that goal on the saves you made? And on conceded, it's how many, what the odds were on the goals that you conceded. So if you have, if you're closer to the y-axis here, up to the left, ideally, then you're doing a great job, or you're doing an absolutely perfect job. You're saving everything, and you're saving a lot of chances and a lot of good chances, like close chances, close to the goal, and doing a top performance for your team. If you're down here to the right, you're conceding more of the chances that you have against you than you're saving, and you're probably having a tough time. And if you're on the black line here, that means that you're saving as much as you're conceding. And generally, if you plot a lot of goalkeepers in a league or several leagues, the goalkeepers are spread around this axis. So it's like a normal distribution. And if you are very close to Origo, if we're talking math language, like the 0-0 here, then you're probably playing in a team that doesn't allow many chances, like Maria Earps in Manchester United and Zinsberger in Arsenal. So you don't have to do many saves a game. I think Zinsberger averages like 1.5 save per game in Arsenal. So it's a very low number.
Means they have good backlines. But this is also interesting because this is like how the tables, I would say, looks like across Europe. Now, if you look at, Arsenal in top, and then Manchester United, then you have Emma Lind, who plays for Roma, who's in the top of the Serie A.
Exactly. So you can't, like, if you're looking at this graph, you can't only look at like how many like how far from the line you are, because you have to consider like how close to Origo is the goalkeeper. If the goalkeeper is closer to Origo, that means that they have less chances that they need to take care of. But if you're longer from the line, further away from Origo, then you have more chances. So it's like easier to be further away from the line in any direction. So Maria Earps is doing a great job. Zinsberger is doing a great job. Arsenal hasn't, or Manchester United hasn't conceded a goal yet in the league.
We'll see how long it takes before they actually do concede. If they do.
Exactly, and it depends on the chance. But I said Zinsberger averaged 1.5 save per game. I don't remember what Marie has, but her XG is even lower. So I would guess that she averages less than one shot, or like around one shot, like less than 1.5 per game. But if
she is the number one goalkeeper in England, Mary Earps. So I think that will tell you the story.
Yeah, definitely.
Where she's at in her career at the moment.
Exactly. And Emma Lind, she's playing in Roma, and they are also top of the league, as you mentioned. She's a bit further up. She has conceded 2 goals in the league, but she also does a very good job. Like, she's way above the line, and she's saving more than she's conceding. So yeah, this is the entire picture of who's the best goalkeeper, but you can tell that she's doing a great job.
That's good for Sweden.
Yeah, that's good for Sweden. So it will be interesting to see, like, in which spot she will be in Gerhardsson's national team. Could she climb?
Yes.
Could she threaten Musovic on the first position? Like, not maybe for the World Cup, but what happens in a couple of years? Like, so it's interesting to follow.
Definitely.
then we have Mackenzie Arnold in West Ham, and I know West Ham has conceded many goals, but you can see here that they should have conceded maybe even more if she wouldn't have done several good saves.
Also interesting, because she's Australian, and
yeah,
they have another good goalkeeper that just won the Swedish league title with FC Rosengård.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Tegan Michael.
We'll see if she makes it in the Swedish Damallsvenskan 11 when we talk about that league. And then we have Romane Munich in Sochaux in the...
There's the French again.
I'm not sure about that pronunciation, so sorry, all people that speak better French than me. But she's also playing in a team that has conceded quite many goals, or they have conceded goals, but she's also doing a good job. Like, they would probably have conceded more if they would have more of an average goalkeeper in the French league. And she's in the national team as well. So, like, she's obviously a good goalkeeper. Okay, but then I have something else. We could look more into, like, what being a goalkeeper is. So I did this goalkeeper spider just to, like, try to describe Emma Lind's performance even more, what you can tell from this spider. So you can see that saves per 90 is like way below average in these 4 leagues. And that's typical because she's playing in Roma. She doesn't have too many chances against her. But you can also see that her saved XG percent, that is very, like, the graph we just showed, saved XG percent is really like what's your saved XG that was on the y-axis divided by your saved XG plus your conceded XG. So it's like saving percentage, but considering the chances. You can see that that's very good considering the other 4 leagues. And if you look at the save percentage, just like how many saves have you done, how many goals have you conceded, it's a similar story. So the chances she are having against her, the saves she does, she's doing a good job, but she's not doing that many saves a game if you compare to other goalkeepers. And you can also see on the clean...
Go on.
And you can also see here on the clean sheets that she's had several clean sheets. And I mean, for me, clean sheets is more of a team metric. Like, it means that the goalkeeper's done a really good job, but it's also that your defense has done a good job. Like, because it doesn't matter if you're a super goalkeeper, if you don't have a defense in front of you, then you will concede goals. So it's more of a team metric, but it still can say something.
It's a nice metric. We can say that. Clean sheets, that's good.
And then
I mean, they are very fitting in goalkeeper spider as well, I think.
Exactly. And in the goalkeeper spider, like in other spiders that we have, like for players playing on the field, like wingers, centimeters, or so on, I try always to make the spiders like the further out to the edges you are, the better player you are. Here, I wouldn't say you can look at it in the same way, because a goalkeeper won't necessarily have like every goalkeeper won't have many saves. Like, you can be a great goalkeeper but be behind a good defensive line, so your saves could be very low. And also the passes here, if we're looking at the passes, then that could describe like how the team is using their goalkeeper, or like it could tell you how the player is performing. It does, but also like what instructions she has. So she has fairly high pass percentage, and then she has just above average in average game pass. So she's usually playing a lot of short passes, and she's involved in the passing games, not only doing long passes. If you have a goalkeeper that always kicks long on goal kicks, for example, you would have a very high average game pass, and the pass percentage is usually lower. If you have very high average game pass and high pass percentage, that means that the goalkeeper usually kicks long all the time, but also does it very well. And if you have a very high pass percentage and the average game pass is very close to the middle or the center of the circle here, it probably means that the goalkeeper just hands the ball over to unpressured defender. That's the only thing they do, and they're not involved. It doesn't mean, but usually you can see you can see that from the spider. And if you look at duels, she's not involved in too many like air challenges or duels really. So keeper claims, that's really when a goalkeeper runs out and claims the ball before a striker that's chasing it on a through ball, or if you're jumping up in the air and claiming a cross that is coming into the box. And
also a good metric, I think already.
And duels is more if you're involved in any air duels, or if you're like need to win a challenge to receive the ball, like throw yourself in front of a dribbling opponent or something like that. And she's not doing that as much either. And I think the keeper claims and the saves, it could be that they are low, is probably maybe because she has a good defensive line as well. But it could tell you also like how much a goalkeeper is prepared to jump up and claim balls in the air, for example. If you have a very high claim percentage, they're probably very confident. I don't have it in this spider, but you could make like a claiming percentage stat as well. How many times they've failed to claim the ball. So yeah, that was your spider.
And yeah, but we have to talk about one thing here now, because
Yeah.
I know that you are working on something with Playmaker, and we can see it on this spider, and that's the BAEP metric. That's an exciting metric. Do you want to like evolve a little bit around that?
Yeah, of course. It's so that's action based metrics. It's value action estimated prediction per 90. So it's a metric developed by, I think, Dutch data scientists, or sorry if they're from Belgium. But yeah, they developed it, and it's a very good metric that is a machine learning action-based metric that you can use for both event data and tracking data to predict like how good the action was, depending on if the player is increasing the odds of scoring with their action, or lowering the odds of conceding a goal later. So the formula is the probability of scoring minus the probability of conceding. So if you're doing action where you're increasing the odds of scoring a lot and also decreasing the odds of conceding, then you're doing a very high valued action. And then you have, as I mentioned earlier in our grade, you have players that do many high valued actions, but not as many actions. Like they do quite low actions per game, but they do very high values on them. And then you have players that do many actions and have a lower value. And then of course you can have the opposite, like players that do many actions, but they don't do them quite well, or do a few actions and they don't do them very well as well. But that's something we will look into in a later episode and show some videos and stuff. So it will be a good episode.
Videos, we love that. Now you can offer any viewer our beautiful faces again, I think.
Yeah.
Or not.
We
I'm
can.
not sure.
We can have.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah.
We're so good in spending time. I see we all already have 30 minutes and we're not on the player report. I always underestimate how much time it will take when I do prepare these episodes. So like, I just want to add one more plot.
Yeah, one more. Well, but, what is this?
Yeah, so this is a YX plot as well, as we looked at before, but now we have the shot value per 90. So shot value per 90 is like really how much expected goals you generate, and then how well you perform on those chances. So if you're generating a high expected goals and scoring more goals than expected, then you will get a very high value, like Polly and Shaw here in the top. And if you're generating very like a low XG and you're also not scoring from them or underperforming, then you will have a shot value per 90 that is low. So these players having beneath 0, they've probably not scored a goal, but maybe expected to score 0 to 2 goals, depending on, or more. And then you have the expected threat per 90 that we've gone through before. So that's really how you're generating chances for your team, and what's the odds of your team scoring later in that position chain. So when you make a pass or a dribble, even if it's like 5 passes after that, or if it's it doesn't matter really where on the, or it does matter for the model where you do it on the pitch, but every pass is included. And then you can sum those passes and carries and generate the value per 90. And
are we surprised to see Hemp that far out?
Not really. No. Hemp was in the top in Women's Super League last year, and she was one of the top players in Europe in in the big leagues. Like when I first made the plot of Women's Super League, I thought there was some kind of error in my code because she was best both in carries and passes, and that's very unusual. But you can see here, like in the beginning of this season, that she's still a top class player. I think that if we would include the Spanish league and some Barcelona player, she might be kicked down. But like last year, she wasn't really threatened. It was like Graham Hansen in Barcelona and a few other players that were up in her level. But she's as dominant this year so far. And then we have some more players here. We don't need to speak about them all, but Ashley Lawrence in Paris Saint-Germain, the Canadian fullback. And then we have Aslani there in the center. So she's both having a very high shot value per 90 and expected threat. And usually when I look at these graphs, you can say that if a player is here, they're usually more of a shooting threat. They're more of a acting in the box and more of a typical striker. And if you're here, in this area, like with a high shot value per 90 and expected threat, you're more of a dual threat. Like you can both generate chances for your team and you can like evaluate them and score from them. So Bordeaux, Dalman, Miedema, and so on. And then if your Hemp is like almost there, she's more of a chance generator, but we'll see how she moves further on in the season. And then if you're like lower, and then the median line here, like the average shot value per 90 around 0 here, you're more of a chance creator, like a typical chance creator. You don't really take a lot of finishes. You're probably maybe further down in line in the pitch, a typical fullback or balancing midfielder or so on.
I think that Hemp might like go up a little bit when the season progresses.
Yeah, me too. And then then we have I took out some more spiders because I thought like we have time. So we'll go through these. But these are like, we can put them on Twitter later, but these are players that could be in the 11, but that I still wanted to mention because they've had a very good start of the season. So we have...
and these are established players. And what I found very interesting about what you're going to show next, because I'm going to say this now, is that you have taken out some spiders on very young players. As well, but these players they are established.
Exactly. I took 12 players. So first I took 4 more offensive players, or not necessarily offensive, but we have Lindsay Oram playing in the center midfield, coming from Portland Thorns in the NWSL, has had a great start. We have Grace Gioro, Paris Saint-Germain, Elisa Polly in Inter, who scored the most goals there, and then Lauren Hemp that we talked about already.
Yeah.
And you can see that she's top of the line in Women's Super League in expected threat passing, and she's one of the best in carries.
We're going to share these spiders as well later on in the Twitter feed, we promise.
Yes. And then I took some more defensive players. We have Glodis Pella Vigosdottir in Icelandic player playing centre-back for Bayern Munich, and Amanda Ilestedt in Paris Saint-Germain. They have very similar spiders, being more offensive, leading center backs that having a lot of ball, progressing it, and doing a good job.
They play in top teams. We must add. So
they play in top teams. So it's kind of like good center backs playing in those teams usually have those spiders. They're very dominant in their leagues as well. So if you look at the spider in Champions League, you can see that they are still very good at defensive skills when they have to defend more. But usually like 90% of the games they're having like a 60% possession or 65. So and then we have Una Batle, or how did you Batle?
No, this is Spanish. Now we have to clear this because 2L is a J, so Batle.
Is it even Catalonian? Like she's coming from Barcelona before, right?
Good question.
Yeah, we don't need to go into that. But,
no.
I know that she was...
Una Battier, I would say.
I know that she was the second best right back in Women's Super League according to our grade when I took the 11. And a lot of players said, where is she? But I selected another fullback instead.
Yeah, you are the master of your this
Or I- or
exercise.
I-
So no one can question them.
or
we know that.
I selected my computer script selected. Like
Yeah.
I don't select them myself. It's I
You
developed a
always
script.
hide. You always hide behind the data. Like
Yeah,
it
I do.
wasn't
I do.
me. It was the data.
I do. I don't need to have any opinion. I can just say my computer.
No,
is
just say your
But
computer said it.
I developed the code, so I guess yeah.
Exactly.
But then yeah, and then Lena Oberdorf, like I took her as well because she's progressing the ball forward and she's winning so much ball like on their own half and also on the defensive half. Like her expected threat preventing for a defensive midfielder is top of the line. Like you have to remember she's playing for Wolfsburg, that is a dominant team, but she's like keeps recovering the ball and doing a great job for Wolfsburg.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, you mentioned it already. So I looked at the data and I looked at like what player do we have that is born 2002 or later that has had a very good season so far and has also been like giving a lot of playing time from their managers. Like their managers have believed in them and let them play. So I selected 2 players in the French league here. So we have yeah.
So
Oceana.
if clubs are scouting at the moment, pay attention now because these youngsters are for the futures.
Yeah.
Future.
Exactly. And we have Oceana Hurtre in Dijon playing a defensive mid. And like she's one of the, like if you look at expected threat passing, like how much you're increasing the chance of the team scoring later in the possession chain. She's one of the best players in these 4 leagues so far. And she's playing in Dijon in France and she's born in 2004. So she's 18 years old. So this is like yeah, keep an eye on her in the future of the season. Like she's probably going to play more. I hate to say I should have looked it up more, but I looked her up on some more before this episode, just regarding her contract status, and I think that she's could be on loan from PSG. So that's, or if she just played for PSG. Yeah, I had a hard time finding the right information, but I found her in PSG shirts. So I don't know if she's just been in the academy or if she's on loan, but she's a great player. Then we have Fiona Maeva Liare from Bordeaux, and she's 17 years old. She doesn't maybe have the most amazing spider, but she has like a general good grade, and she's been allowed to play a lot in Bordeaux. And she's very good in her progressive defense, like winning stealing a lot of passes with her interceptions. So
I'm gonna say it now because you were right. She's on loan from PSG. So
yeah,
this is probably a player PSG would like to.
I don't think they're gonna sell her. She's gonna play in the PSG
No.
eventually.
If they didn't sell Grace Guerrero this season to Chelsea for that amount of money, I don't think that they will let their midfielders go.
No. And then we have Svenja Formlid, from Switzerland, playing for Freiburg. She scored many goals on not too many chances, so she has like a very high shot value, and she's also like successful in the air and a lot of one tackles and interceptions. So she's very good in the pressuring game and also like winning back the ball quite high in the pitch. So 20 years old from Switzerland. And then
this is a player maybe Rosengård should look at, because they look at players from these teams in the Frauen Bundesliga.
Yeah, exactly. She's playing for Freiburg, not Wolfsburg or Bayern Munich.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
And then you have Hannah Bennison. We don't need a description for her. Like I think most of you know, she scored a goal in the European Championships, and like she's pretty famous already. But I had to include her. She's born in 2002, so she's still very young, and her passes, and she's scoring goals, and she's had a great start of the season. So yeah, I just hope to see more from her this season, and yeah, great player.
Well, I am not going to argue with you on that one, I think.
No. But okay, so I'm going to share something else here.
We're going into the player reports now, right?
We are.
We are, and our favorite player Kosova Raslani and Maya Letizier from Manchester United.
Yeah,
I hope this will satisfy the Manchester United fans to see her player report, because I know that you tweeted about her when it was announced that she would go to Manchester United, right?
Yeah, so we start with Maya Letizier. Yeah, exactly. She had a very good season in Brighton last season. So when United signed her, I was like, this is a great signing. And some people agreed. Some people said, really? Do you think that? So I have a player report here. So she's been doing a great job so far. And if you, I said when you mentioned the spider as well, like she's also very young. I could have had her in the 2002 or later born. She's 20 years old as well. We have the player role here. That's also an episode we can dig into, like the player roles we have, like when we use data to detect not only like which position they play, but also like what kind of player they are. Like, are they a playmaker, or are they more of a defensive-minded defender, or so on. We have around 20 roles, and but she's more of what we call a spreader. So she's playing in the back, and she's very good at delivering balls from side to side and progressing the ball forward from the defensive line. And you can see that in the, like, she has very high gain carry, expected threat carries per 90, gain pass. So she's very involved in United's defense. And this is also like something that you can have in mind, that sometimes when a team stops scoring goals, they don't create chance anymore. And you're thinking like, oh, all of our wingers and strikers are still, like, they're not injured, but maybe you have a center back injured or a defensive midfielder injured. The problem could be that they're not, the balls are not being delivered up to the final third. And so Maya Letizier is very important for United's offense. Even though she's playing in the back, she's progressing the ball forward and delivering it to the players that later do the last pass or score the goals.
We also should remind potential viewers now that Playmaker actually have these player reports for sale. So if anyone is interested, just send an email to jesper@playmaker.ai.
Exactly. Yeah, we're selling these to, like, we're both selling them to agents, and we also have them, of course, in like our deals with the teams we work with. But we have teams get these when they're scouting, and we can give them also, like, if they're looking for maybe a balancing midfielder outside their league, for example. Let's say that Rosengård would look for a balancing midfielder in a market where they can purchase from. We can pick out 5 players that we think are good, and then they can scout them more in detail as an example. We're also helping like national teams that we are working with to maybe get a data understanding of the player as well. So they're not like, that could help them in selecting the right players, or like see how prepared or how ready a player is to be picked later. So as something that you can use besides just watching the player live or through video. So yeah, you can see that she's very successful in these 4 leagues, like in long balls, like delivering the ball far up the pitch, and also gain pass per 90. That's like how many meters you gain per, like not per pass, but per game. So like through your passes. So she's there's only one player that has a higher value, or one center back in these leagues. I don't remember who it is, so I can't tell you. I can look it up.
It's going to be interesting to follow this player across the season as well, because I'm dying to see Manchester United play one of the other top teams in the league.
Yeah. And you can see, like, for expected threat, if you combine it both for passes and carries, like, there's a few more players ahead, but she's like still like very high. The most of the players are behind her, so she's still like top 15% or something like that. And gain carry, like what she gains through carries, there's only one player that is above her, so these 3 players are like way ahead of the other players, so they're like in a different level. And then you have passes into the box. She's also very high for being a center back, like how she progressed the ball even to the box, not only the final third, but to the box as well. And
Yeah.
and then I had this challenges one where I adjusted for possession. So like looking at how much so if you're not adjusting for possession, it could be hard looking at defensive stats. It could still be, but it's easier if you adjust for possession. So you're only looking at the time when the player is actually defending. And you can see that she's around like 40% percentile or like 50, so she's in the middle. So she's still doing a quite good job here. So like, and I wouldn't say that she's necessarily bad at challenges. She's like still playing for a team that's very dominant, but maybe she could improve this metric a bit. And yeah, if we take that with us and we look at the dual map here, you can see it's mostly green. That means that she's very successful in her tackles and air challenges and interceptions. But she's not having so many actions. Like there hasn't been so many games yet this older season. But if I would pick up a center back in another team, there would be more dots on this pitch plot. So she's not having too many defensive actions. But that could also be.
Let's return to her at the end of the season as well.
Yeah, and how many actions you have can also tell if a player is like they maybe don't need to do that many duels because they're always standing right in position and like they're forcing the players to do other decisions. So usually like very good center backs defensively don't need to take too many duels because they're forcing the opponent to do other things with the ball. Anyways, so yeah, and if you look at the progressive passes, you can see that she's from her right position here. She's delivering the balls very like far up the field here on the same on the right side of the pitch, but she's also like doing switches. So she's switching the half that the team is possessing the ball over to the left side. And I took out the long balls here as well. So these are passes that has a distance of 30 meters or more. And you can see that many of these passes are switches over to the other side. She's probably crossing a lot. Like she's skipping the other center back. She's crossing over to the fullback on the other side immediately. So that's very good because then it takes less time and the defending team doesn't have time to move over as much. So that's a very good quality. And then the deep balls along the same side. And yeah, she scored 2 goals so far. So
yeah, that's not bad too. So
yeah, it will be very exciting to watch, and also like if she will be good enough to play in the English national team and be ready for the World Cup, because England has a lot of good players in defense like Millie Bright, Williamson, Greenwood, etc.
yeah, of course they have, but I do think also it's exciting because I think this is a big season for Manchester United. I mean, they are aiming for that Champions League spot now, and I believe that both fans and the club and the players and everyone will be very disappointed if they don't manage that. And I think that it will be a battle between both Manchester teams, Manchester City and Manchester United.
I agree. Should we look into our Swedish star here, Kosovare Asllani?
Yes, we are.
So yeah, Kosovare Asllani made a move to AC Milan ahead of this season, so a big signing for them.
Can I just say something? I love that it says the player role, the artist.
Yeah,
that's like Kosovare Asllani, the artist.
So artist is an offensive role, so that's typically a player playing forward or like a striker. If you're playing a 4-4-2 with 2 strikers, usually it could be that you're playing with 1 striker as well, but usually it's more normal if you're playing like that the artist plays as a second striker in a 2-striker formation, or if you are playing like an attacking midfielder just behind the striker. And the artist is like compared to another striker that's maybe more focused on doing actions in the box and scoring, most focused on scoring. The artist is very good in dribbling and doing the assists and shot assists, and also in winning offensive duels. Like it's very hard to take the ball from the artist, and the artist creates chances for the other attackers. but the average position is very high up in the pitch. So it's not like a playmaker that maybe goes further down the pitch and starts the attacking from an earlier point. So that's the artist, and Kosovare Asllani is an artist.
We know that already. So,
Yeah.
But it's great to see.
And one thing that's interesting here is like with her goals, I think she scored 6 goals now with the 2 in this weekend. But if you look at the non-penalty expected goals, they are like just on average for a forward. But she's on the top, so she's like, I think she has 3 expected goals in total, and she has 6 goals. So that's why she had a very good shot value. She's doing very well on the chances that she creates and takes care of. And yeah, if you look at expected passes per 90 for all forwards in Serie A, she's number 2, and she's way above the line here in how she takes care of the chances. She has expected goals on around 0.4, 0.35 per game, but she's scoring now around 0.8, 0.7 goals per game. So as I said, twice as much as the chances she gets or generates. So a very impressive number. And we'll see how she can keep that up during the season. But yeah, very impressive numbers.
Fingers crossed for the fact that I hope she will be injury free and just keeps on going all season, and then will be the artist for Sweden in New Zealand and Australia next summer.
Yeah. And if we look at her dribbles, as I said, an artist usually is very good in dribbling and take-ons. You can see her dribble percentage is very high. But also, if you look from this, from the action machine learning model, like the dribbles she does, or the take-ons, like not the carries, just like doing your opponent. When she does that, and she successfully does that, there's only one player in the league that actually increases the odds of the team scoring later in the possession chain more than her. So her dribbles are very decisive for Milan's attacks. And
she usually ends up being that player for every team she plays in. I think.
Yeah, because she doesn't have like her expected threat carries, or like her game carrying is not that high because she's not like doing the longest routes, but the dribbling and the carrying she does is very decisive for her team and very important. Like so a great player in doing her defender. Passing to the box, highest up among all forwards, and touches in the box is also very high. So she's doing a lot of actions in the box and very successfully doing them as well.
She positions herself where it's the most likely she can score.
Exactly.
I think she is where it happens.
Yeah. And yeah, do you have the shot map here? As I said, a very good turnover ratio, most goals scored in the penalty area. The duels is not as high, but that doesn't really matter too much. She's still a very good player, but we don't need to look too much into the duels that she's made. If we look at the progressive actions she's done, you can see that there's both blue and yellow here, and it means that she is doing progressive actions both through carrying and passes. But you can see that she's on both these pitches also on the positive expected received. So when she's received a progressive pass, a pass from a teammate that is going closer to the opponent goal, she's doing it mostly on the left flank. And if you see her progressive actions, they're also mostly to the left. Like she operates as a forward, but she's been a little bit more focused to the left so far this season. And yeah, for Asllani as well, it's going to be super interesting to see how her season progresses and how it goes for Milan as well. How can they challenge the other teams, or like where will they end up? They're a bit behind now, but they're still doing good, so it will be interesting.
She did good in Liga F as well when she played for Real Madrid, but the fact is something just tells me that Italian football is that's perfect for a player like Kosovare Asllani.
Yeah. And yeah, wow.
Are you done now, Jesper?
I'm done. And it's an hour.
Yeah.
I thought that this is going to be a short episode. I'm learning. So like in the future, when we've done some more episodes, we're gonna be even more like trained in how much time things takes. But I hope you really enjoyed this, and yeah, if you want to apply for any of the jobs that we have, salesperson or front-end developer or the thesis, check out the tweet later. Yeah, Mia, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I think you should follow Playmaker at Twitter, and that's at Playmaker AI in one word. Because lots of exciting things will be coming up. And we are going to wrap this episode up now because I'm going to take my dog for a short walk now in the rain, probably.
Yep. And I'm going to go home and feed my cat. That's probably wondering where dinner is.
Yeah, my dog actually, she's sitting here next to me and looking at me like, where's my food? Because it's past 7 and I swear she knows the time.
Yeah,
she knows that. But until next time, Jesper, you are going on vacation, so this week, right?
Yeah, I'm still gonna work, but I'm gonna work less. So my girlfriend or sambo, as you say in Swedish, lives in Germany for the moment. So I'm gonna go visit her in Germany for 10 days. So yeah, still work, but a few hours less, so I can spend time with her.
I mean, hope you will enjoy that. And the next time we will have a very exciting episode, because then we are going to talk about the Damallsvenskan again. Because when we do that episode in about 2 weeks, it's done. The Swedish League season will be over. And so we will talk about the best players and performances in Sweden 2022. So stay tuned. Bye-bye and take care.
Take care.